So I'm gonna start out with the slides today, and then I'll talk a little bit about the book, and then we'll go and do some transcendental meditation. That's the plan.
Okay.
So this is lower blood pressure naturally, and this is increasing calcium. And you'll probably like this because there's a little bit of science in here. Probably the most science I'll do the whole program. Again, you guys can always email me if you have questions or reach me through the virtual gym. So the reason that calcium is so important with blood pressure, I'll go into that. But first, just know that calcium is the most abundant mineral in our body. It's stored in our bones and our teeth and helps to make them strong. It also helps facilitate that nerve to nerve communication. So when we're sending signals in our body, and it stimulates muscle contraction. So that's the one that's important with our vessels. And it also activates our blood clotting factors. So just over here on the side, you can see we have the outer layer here, which is the collagen layer, and that's the outer layer of the vessel. Then we have the in between layer, which is the smooth muscle. So that's what contracts and expands, and that more calcium we get in our diet. Like if we get too much calcium, you can actually over stress and over activate your muscles, causing them to really contract a lot. So that's why we don't want too much calcium in the diet, but we also don't want too little calcium. We want to find that sweet spot. And then you can see there's also an endothelial layer here on the inside, which lines the lumen of the vessel. So that's why that calcium is important with that muscle in regards to that muscle layer. Um, let's move on here. Here's my science chart. So calcium and high blood pressure. So this is what happens if we get too little calcium in the diet. So if you look at the chart here, we decrease our calcium intake, which decreases our blood plasma level. And when that happens, we have to produce hormones to bring calcium out of our bones and our teeth. So basically, our blood wants to stay at a certain level with our calcium, and it's going to do everything it can to modulate and keep that calcium level where it's supposed to be. So it's going to produce hormones, pull calcium out of our bones and teeth, and it's going to act then the parathyroid hormone and angiotensin 2, which is a product of the renin pathway from the kidney, on the adrenal gland, which is that little gland that sits right on the kidney. And it's going to tell our body not to excrete the sodium. It's going to tell the body to hold on to sodium and hold on to water. And that water will actually flow out from in the cells into the extracellular space, creating extracellular fluid. That then increases our cardiac output, which increases our blood pressure. So that's why it's important that we don't get too little calcium in the diet as well. So moving on here. Recommendations, if you're a female and you are under 50 years or younger, they recommend 1,000 milligrams per day. And if you are 51 or older, they recommend that 1,200 milligrams a day. And that's to help keep that calcium in your healthy in your bloodstream, so you don't have to rob it from your bones and teeth. Men, you get a little bit longer there. You're less prone to osteoporosis and osteopenia. So 1,000 milligrams a day up to age 70. And then at age 71 and older, we want 1,200 milligrams per day. And that's information from the National Osteoporosis Foundation. And last slide here, so sources of calcium. Um, I put some like more unfamiliar sources on here. We're all pretty aware of milk and yogurt and dairy products being rich in calcium, but seeds have a lot of calcium in particular chia seeds. So I'm going to put a chia seed recipe, pudding recipe out on the website. That could be a good source of calcium. Poppy and sesame also have calcium. Your hard cheeses are going to have more calcium than your softer cheeses. So, like Parmesan, for example, you do have to watch the saturated fat a little bit there as well. Um, I mentioned milk and yogurt. Are canned fish. So when they can the fish that have soft bones, a lot of times they grind it all up together. You're going to get some of those bones, although you won't notice them usually, in your canned salmon and sardines. And those help contribute to the calcium level, just like we have calcium in our bones, so do our fish. Beans and lentils can be a great source. Almonds, whey protein. So if you are lacking in calcium, you might want to add a scoop of whey protein to a glass of milk, maybe make a smoothie, something like that during the day. That can give you about another 20% of your daily needs of protein by adding that scoop. Leafy greens, collard, spinach, and kale, those are a great source. Rhubarb is also a good source. Unfortunately, we usually eat that with a lot of sugar, but it can be a great source of calcium. Our foods that are fortified with calcium, so a lot of times our nut milks, orange juices, different things like that might be fortified with calcium and can contribute to that, the number of milligrams of calcium we need each day. And then amaranth, I'm just mentioning that it's a ancient grain that you can add that will actually help to also increase the amount of calcium that you're taking in during the day. So that is all I have on the presentation. You can find this presentation individually on our daily calendar if you want to click on it there and just watch it again, or watch it without watching the whole entire class. So I'm going to stop my share here. Okay, and then I know, Royce, I know you don't have the booklet yet, and we'll get that to you tomorrow. But I do want to just mention in here, hopefully you are starting to learn about that amount of sodium that you're taking in, and how by eating more whole foods that can help reduce that sodium level. On page 6 and 7 of the booklet, I start with all these charts, and these are going to be different foods in the food groups. And for example, I highlighted then in yellow, if you can see all my highlights here, foods that are going to be rich in that nutrient that is named at the top of the page. So this can help you if you are finding that you are deficient in getting, enough calcium in your day. You might want to up your amount of skim milk or yogurt. Those would be good sources. Carrots have some. That Kashigo lean cereal actually has some calcium in it as well. And so just this can help you look at that. And then when you get onto page 8 and 9 and beyond there, I've got some actual recipes of things you can mix together that will help to give you, that higher calcium level. So, for example, an overnight oat recipe that I have in here, it has milk in it, and it's got oats and pecans in it as well. So those can also have some calcium in, but you can get about 355 milligrams of calcium from that. The oat bran cereal, and then also there's a veggie wrap here. You can get about 140 milligrams in. So again, just a lot of ideas with whole foods that can help you to increase that calcium level. And if you do find still that you're shy of getting that 1,000 to 1,200 milligrams a day, you can add a supplement. Most of the time, I think probably 500 is one of the standard doses, or 1,000. I wouldn't take 1,000 a day. I don't think we need that much. But if you need to supplement, maybe taking 500, or I think I've seen it in 300 milligram tablets as well. So that can help contribute to you reaching that daily total. So that's the book. Information in the book that hopefully can be helpful to you. Remember, if there's foods that you're eating that aren't labeled and you don't know the amount of the important nutrients in them, email me and I will be sure and look those up and add them into the booklet. And we'll do some, I'll get some extra pages out to everyone when we're adding those foods so everyone can get those in. I put the foods that I most commonly eat in here. So that's kind of how that came from. Plus foods that I found that are, high in these certain nutrients that we're looking for. So I think we'll move on here then to our meditation for the class. And today we were going to experience Transcendental Meditation. So I am just going to, I think, play that from our group page. And if you haven't got on the phone app, you can see our group right here, the lower blood pressure group. You can also, do this from your computer as well. I'll scroll up until I find the Transcendental. I've got 3 out there now. I've got one that's narrated, one by Dr. Mona Vaughn that's kind of an intro, and then I've got just the music. So if you just want some music, this 20-minute Transcendental Meditation music, that's a great way to just go ahead and get started with it. So TM, kind of the beauty of it is you don't have to worry about your breathing. You're not supposed to get too absorbed or focused on your thoughts and thinking that you're doing it wrong. You're supposed to just kind of let the thoughts come, and you use a mantra with TM. So you're supposed to come up with your own kind of no nonsense or nonsensical phrase or word, which could be Om, or it could be Ram, or something that doesn't have a lot of meaning to you. And as you get into your transcendental meditation, then you just when you notice that you're getting off track with your thoughts, you want to start to become an observer of those thoughts. So you just want to maybe say your meditation to yourself. So the trick is to catch yourself when you're having those thoughts, and it's fine to have them, you're going to have them, but bring yourself kind of back from those thoughts so you can be more of an observer of those thoughts. And we know when we observe things, we more likely have a better, more objective view of things. Oh, good. Thanks, Royce. I saw that information on the Calorie King, so I'll go ahead and post that link as well. I'm going to go ahead and start this music, and hopefully I can get it turned up high enough. And again, you can play this straight from your phone if you've got our Trainer Eyes app on your phone and have hooked to that. Can you hear that, Royce?
Maybe a little bit louder.
Let's see if I can get it in. Oh, I've got it all the way up. Let's see.
That I can hear it now.
Can you? Okay. I'm going to set that down. So you really, in Transcendental Meditation, you don't want to be lying down. You don't want to fall asleep. You want to stay awake during it. So I usually just try to relax my hands down in my lap. I keep my legs uncrossed, but if, depending on how you sit, you can sit Indian style or wherever you're sitting. You can slouch a little bit. That's fine. We're not focusing on our breath. And then just go ahead and close those eyes. And I usually do start out with a breath or two, and that just kind of tells my body that it's time to unwind, time to relax. And then just go ahead and try to get into that zone a little bit. So don't force it. No stress here, no judgment. And you can do this with or without music. So that's one of the nice things about it as well, is it doesn't really take any prep. You can just run to your bedroom or down in the basement to find a quiet place and just start. And we'll try to do about 10 minutes here, which will seem probably like forever, because most of us are not used to sitting still. And just remember, those thoughts will come and go. Don't try to crowd them out or force them away or throw them to the back of your head. Just bring yourself back to your mantra, your little chant for a moment in your head. And as I feel any tension in my body, I just try to be mindful of that and just try to relax it out as I go through my meditation. So just paying attention to your shoulders and back and hips, legs. just allow you to start to come back to your awareness and back to your surroundings. And just a couple of things about Transcendental Meditation. It is shown to help lower blood pressure and help with heart issues. It's also used for anxiety and depression. So it's used for a number of things. So again, just practicing it and seeing how it might benefit you. And I know sitting here for about 10 minutes trying to practice sitting still is very difficult for a lot of people, just because we're so used to being busy all the time and being productive. Um, but it can also help us be more creative and help us with our work, refresh us. They say about 20 minutes of I can't even say it, transcendental meditation can also help us, sleep better and give us kind of that little rest or nap during the day that helps to refresh us. So if they generally recommend you do it for a couple times a day for 10 to 20 minutes. I like to just work it in whenever I can. I like to experiment with a lot of different techniques, but I've found for me that TM really helps me kind of just let loose, and I don't, again, have to concentrate on anything. I don't have to prepare. I don't have to work on my breathing. I just kind of get into the zone with it. So do you have any questions, Royce?
No, I don't.
Okay. Was it easy for you to do, or?
This is kind of easy for me to do because I kind of do something like this already.
Okay, great. Great. Yeah, several people in the class earlier today just mentioned how difficult it was to sit still. But it's a practice, and you get better at it as you go along. So,
I think
well,
for me, the hardest part isn't the trying to empty my mind. The hardest part is all these little aches and pains that you have all over your body. They become more apparent when you start letting stuff go, and you just turn,
absolutely.
you just focus on nothing,
Yeah.
and then all that other stuff just kind of
Yeah.
starts
All that
popping up.
awareness starts to come in, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah. Well, good job. Thanks for practicing with me here. And if you don't have any more questions, I'll go ahead and end our program for today. And on next Monday, we are going to cover potassium, and we'll do another deep breathing exercise.
Okay.
All right. Thanks for joining.
Bye bye.
Bye.